Hi, friends. My name is Donna Dong, and I am an elder of Knox Presbyterian Church since September of 2020. It's my pleasure to answer your questions as we spend this week in chapter 5 of Mark's Gospel. I come really not as an elder to this task, but really because I love stories. I love reading stories, telling stories, seeing stories in movies. I love hearing stories. And boy, do we have a story, two stories, in fact, in chapter 5 of Mark. What we have are one story of Jesus freeing and casting out a legion of unclean spirits from a demonized man into a herd of pigs. Pigs die, man lives. And then a second set of stories where Jesus heals two daughters of Israel from their brink of death. Interestingly enough, the questions that you put in to Jamboard, there were about 7 questions, and 3 of them, most of them, I think, were preoccupied with the first story, the Jesus freeing, casting out demons out of a demonized man into a herd of pigs. Out of the 7 questions that are posted on the Jamboard, 3 were about the pigs, and the other 4 seem to be focused on the different responses around that situation between Jesus, the people of that area, and the demonized healed man, the healed demonized man himself. So before much more ado, let's go in to question. I just sense in you guys a real, excitement and interest in the story that is told. And so I'm going to use your questions, answer them, but I think because of your excitement in asking those questions, they bring us right back into the text of chapter 5 of Mark's Gospel. Question number 1, why was there a herd of 2,000 pigs in the land of the Jews? What we see in terms of answer is they were not in the land of the Jews. Jesus was not in the land of the Jews where there was the herd of 2,000. It says in verse 1, Jesus and his disciples who took Jesus in a boat, they went across the lake to the region of the Gerasenes. There's very much reference to that area. The impure spirits in verse 10 begged Jesus not to send them out of the area. So what area is this? Later on, we will see when Jesus tells the man who is healed from demons, cured from demons, Jesus says to him in verses 19 to 20, go home to your own people and tell them how much the Lord has done for you, how he has had mercy on you. So the man went away and began to tell in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him. So the area in mind, which is the context or the setting for this first story in Mark's chapter 5's gospel, is the area around the Decapolis. The Decapolis were historically 10 cities, Deca, the word for 10, and polis, 10 cities, and they really were a league of nations that banded together for mutual protection and security against their neighbors. And in fact, the cities of the Decapolis were the center of a rich Greco-Hellenistic culture and very well-to-do, very affluent. This league, because of their mutual pact of protection, flourish. And so one indication of that is that they could have an accumulative herd of 2,000 pigs. So we're talking economic wealth, okay? So question number 1, why was there a herd of 2,000 pigs in the land of the Jews? We're not in the land of the Jews. We are east of the Galilee, Lake of Galilee, into the area of the Decapolis. Question number 2, why do the demons beg to be cast into the pigs, only for the pigs to kill themselves? And I'm going to couple with that another question, which was a question about the death of these pigs. There was a lot of fascination around these pigs. There seems to be an economic injustice in the pig herders losing their source of income to these demons. So then how are we to understand the death of 2,000 pigs in this story? I think we need to see this in the context of the story. How do I say it? I am from a culture and people group that love pork. In fact, the last time I was studying this passage with a group of students, I kidded a friend and showed her a picture of a feast of lechon pig in Philippines, where her family was. Her family generously and graciously welcomed me to a feast there's just something special about Filipino lechon or a meal that is pork, roast pork, beautiful. So I remember when I read this story and was with my friend, whose family members treated me to this feast in Philippines. I said, look at that, what a waste, 2,000 pigs just hurtled over. I want us to hear, again, in the story, how are we to understand this? Is this economic injustice and the poor pig herders who lose their source of income? Actually, we're looking at 2,000 pigs that belong probably to the larger community, which in the context of understanding the area of the Gerasenes or the Decapolis area, very wealthy, very affluent, okay? So I want us to just reread verses 14. So the large herd of pigs was feeding on the nearby hillside. The demons begged Jesus, send us to the pigs, allow us to go into them. And Jesus gave them permission, and the impure spirits came out and went into the pigs. And the herd, about 2,000 in numbers, rushed down the steep bank into the lake and were drowned. Those tending the pigs ran off and reported this to the countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. So the question for me is, what had happened? Are our eyes fixed mostly on the pigs who died? Or I want us to see something else. When they came to Jesus, they saw the man who had been possessed by the legions of demons sitting there, dressed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. Those who had seen it told the people what had happened to the demon-possessed man and told them about the pigs as well. Okay, but I want us to hear the contrast. What they saw, yes, were the 2,000 pigs dead, but they also saw a living man who, in the first part of the story, is described as living among the tombs in a cemetery, a man living among the dead, oppressed, demonized, with what turns out to be a legion of many impure spirits, evil spirits. This man lived in the tombs. No one could even bind him, not even with a chain, for he had been often chained hand and foot, but he tore the chains apart and broke the irons on his feet. No one was strong enough to even subdue him. And night and day, among the tombs and in the hills, he would cry out, cut himself with stones, self-destruction, mayhem, trauma. And what we see, the trauma of 2,000 pigs drowned, and then we see a formerly traumatized man, demon-possessed, and now sitting there dressed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. There was power that was evidenced by Jesus. On one hand, they saw death of pigs. On the other hand, they saw a man dressed in his right mind and just held together, whole and sane. Okay, so I wanted to move on. Do you see this as economic injustice? Well, certainly there was an economic fallout, but the result at the same time, you have both. You have a well man, and you have the destruction of, well, you have an economic downfall. Let's put those two pieces together and go on to the next question. Why would those who saw the demons cast out ask Jesus to leave? In other places, Jesus does a miraculous healing, and he attracts huge crowds who also want healing. So this other question that was asked is, why would those who saw the demons cast out ask Jesus to leave? I suspect we have the answer. They saw 2,000 pigs destroyed and dead. And I don't know what would have come to their mind. Now you've got evil spirits who once resided in a cemetery, localized in a single man, and then filling 2,000 pigs, but then the 2,000 pigs are dead. And maybe it's this picture of now we have the spirits of evil just unleashed, the structures of evil just existing in the area, but unleashed. And so tremendous fear, probably. Maybe there was a fear like, this Jesus, he is not to be controlled. What a powerful person. And do we really want him to stay around us, who has such potential for destruction? They missed the other part of the picture. So I think what we have here is before us kind of a living parable, which relates to last week's view of chapter 4 of the Gospel of Mark, how Jesus taught in parables. He put something forward, and then people respond to it and hear and see in different ways. Okay. So now, why would those who saw the demons cast out ask Jesus to leave? I think, too much to handle. Better to have Jesus at a distance than present and kind of on the loose. I want to answer the last question, question number 5. Why would Jesus deny somebody's desire to follow him? And here's what the questioner had in mind. As Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed begged to go with Jesus. And Jesus did not let him, but said, "Go home to your own people and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you." So the man went away and began to tell in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him. And all the people were amazed. That's the conclusion that we have of this story of this demon-possessed man, demonized by Legion. It's a company of like 3,000 military people, if you think about in terms of a Roman army legion. But this man so oppressed, so demonized, and now set free. And Jesus says, now go home, go back to your friends, tell your people how much the Lord has done for you. I think what's happening is that this man has been commissioned by Jesus to be a witness to the goodness of the coming of the kingdom, the goodness, the good news that is attached to the person of Jesus, who uses his power to free and to release people from the captivity of death, demonization, structures of evil. Will this man get a hearing? Well, what do you think? A man who used to be shouting, out of control, living as good as dead among the tombs, and now able to say, look and see what the Lord has done for me. Friends, a lot of good stuff in chapter 5 of Mark's Gospel. Go on to the rest of the chapter. Have a good day. Take care. Bye.